Hello, wonderful people, and welcome back to Musical Theater Voice Class. I am Miss Brii with Wonderland Performing Arts, and today is our last day. Today is the final day of our performance, our advanced performance principles of our whole class as we kind of wrap up this way of teaching classes with Wonderland and move on to our new summer intensives and online classes and all of that fun stuff. I will be teaching those as well. If you want to take a vocal health class or a time traveling to Broadway class, I will be offering those this summer for ages 9 and up. But before we move on to what's happening after, let's get through finishing up with our advanced performance principles. So I have to correct a mistake that I made in last week's video. Last week's video, you might have noticed that I mentioned our advanced performance principle for that day was, I think I said be alive in the character or play out to the audience or something like that. But what our advanced performance principle was for last week was actually play in a state of action. And that's why I put a bunch of games up for you. Because playing in a state of action is, it's your way of making a picture come to life. It's going from the still life of every day and looking at a picture to putting it on stage, making a story, taking it from, the concept to the result. And when you play in a state of action, it means creating visually pleasing portraits on stage too. So you don't want to forget that there's life on the stage and moving in the background, and remember that even if the focus isn't on you, that you are a person functioning in that scene, in that era, in that setting. So it's still important that you're a person doing person things, that you're, playing or miming or doing something, interacting with other people on stage that are also just not really the focus, but around you. That's one of my favorite things about being in a show, especially with people that you spend so much time with in rehearsals. You get to kind of goof around and show a little bit of yourselves on stage. It's your one moment that you have a lot of freedom on what you say and do. You're not scripted, unless you say something out loud, you're not normally going to get told anything about that. You're just supposed to be playing in a state of action. It's important to keep your personality in mind when you're thinking of your character and what your character is doing on the stage. Just think about how your character would talk to their friends, how your character would walk down the street. Do they have a kind of swagger when they walk? Do they skip? Maybe they're very excited to get where they're going. There's a lot that can go into your little backstory, into whatever you want to put into the stage. The more thought you put into it, the more it translates. Like, this person has a mission. This person's doing something. And it's okay that that's just what's happening in the background. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to bring it to life. So that would be playing in a state of action. I'm really glad that me and Mr. Collin got to show you some of our examples of these songs and what we decided to do with them. I hope that you guys have tried it out with your friends and decided that it was a fun time for you. So let's just do a review of all of our advanced performance principles, starting from the beginning. So we're gonna start from our very first week with number 1. I know we do this every week, but I think it's important that we try to remember what we did all the way back to the beginning. And now we have 4 weeks of information that we need to try to remember. So let's look back. Stressing the first beat you sing on and sticking to your dynamics. Making sure that we can hear you when you come in, that your entrance is nice and strong, and making sure that the dynamics, the growth of the music and the swell of the feelings, the big moments and the small moments get their place and that they are used correctly. Diction, making sure we are speaking clearly, that we can be heard, making sure that the people all the way in the top, in the back row, in the nosebleeds, can hear you just as clearly as the people in the front, because everybody paid for a ticket to be there. Emphasizing consonants and doing things like that so that as your voice travels, you make sure it travels clearly. And projecting, making sure we can be heard. Singing through your eyes, helping you with your placement and placement of your voice. You want to sing upwards and into your head, especially in your head voice. And then also bringing your character to life because it's giving you some kind of method of expression. playing out to the audience, which is where we have to make sure that things are big and noticeable. It's not like a movie set or a movie camera where you can zoom in on something that's really important, like a paper being passed back and forth or an exchange between two people. It's up to the people on stage to make sure that that moment gets the attention that it needs to get to tell the story. So making big choices. Keeping the scene focused. Don't get lost in the shuffle, not getting overwhelmed with all the craziness that may be going on stage around you. Being alive in your character, giving yourself a purpose on that stage. And I remember we said those two go together really well. When you keep the scene focused, when you keep yourself in the moment and you let your imagination take you somewhere else, you become alive in the character. You don't have to try nearly as hard to make yourself feel it and feel the life in the character if you've immersed yourself in what's going on around you. It's pretty easy to just react. That's all you have to do in the end anyway, is just react to the things around you if you don't want to outwardly do something yourself, or if you're not sure what choice to make. For your first couple of shows, it's okay if you just react to other people and follow them around. It's the best way to learn. Watch. So, being alive in the character. This is also where we talked about journaling, writing a journal from the perspective of your character. I still think this is a very, very useful tool in creating a character, in getting yourself focused for a scene, and in preparing for a role, especially if it's a bigger role. I do think that this is a really, really helpful tool in character analysis and character building. And you leave yourself, if you can answer any question from the perspective of your character without having to think too hard because you just understand that character, that's how you know you really did the work. You really made sure that you built this character to be the wonderful, complex person that you are. Give them as much depth and as much respect and creativity as you've got inside of you, and you'll create something that you didn't even know that you could. So then we have play in a state of action. I talked about that one earlier. That was supposed to be our principle for last week. So, while it may feel appropriate to stand still in the background, making sure we're creating visually pleasing portraits alive on stage. Remember that people who are alive talk and chit-chat and gossip and touch each other and hold hands and hug and, do a whole bunch of things. Just go people watching one day. Whenever you're back in public again, or say you take a trip to the grocery store with mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, and just look at all of the people around you. Look at how they interact with each other, especially people that went into the store together. You'll see a lot of camaraderie and companionship that you might not have seen in a different time. You see them sticking closer together, and you may see some people who go out of their way to show kindness, and you may see some people who go out of their way to show the opposite of kindness. I think it's important that we kind of evaluate both, because sometimes that may have to be you on stage. You may be the villain, you may be the antagonist, you may be the bully, you may be a character that has to show something like that. And that's where I think it's important that if you watch people do it, it's better than having to feel that feeling yourself. You can kind of recognize their expressions, you can, find feelings that you identify with that make you feel that way. But watching how people react can sometimes inspire you to create something on stage you might not have thought of otherwise. So that is playing in a state of action. We play every day in our lives in a state of action, so why not do the same on stage? Enjoy yourself and make friends. This is the ones that we talked about whenever we did the bag unpacking and looked at what we needed to have in our toolkit before we go to a rehearsal hall or a performance venue. So enjoying yourself and making friends just means that that's easy. Make friends. There are so many people in the cast, there are so many people in the wonderful theater community around you who, believe it or not, are into all of the same things. That's why you're there together, because they love theater just like you do, and they want to be on stage just like you do. And that's a wonderful moment, because finding people who love this beautiful thing that we do as much as we do, there's a bond there because of that shared love. You get that moment of, we get to do this together, we get to do what we love together. So it creates a companionship and a camaraderie, and I still talk to so many people that I met through doing shows, and I mean, most of the people that I work with today I met through doing shows or performances or attending performances, or just being out in the community and enjoying the arts. That's all it really takes, and we all do, right? We love the arts, especially in Lafayette, Louisiana. We love the arts. We have such a massive, awesome, culturally rich arts community, and it's so nice to be able to see all of the beautiful people who love the same things that we do what they love whenever we also get the chance to do it too. And then respecting your space and others, especially in rehearsal spaces and performance venues, making sure that you always leave it in better shape than you found it. I'm normally one of those people that's the last one to leave after strike because I want to make sure that the dressing rooms are clean, that the trash has been taken out, that all food stuff has been picked up, you know, the floors are clean. So whoever goes in after us, because chances are there's no cleaning crew, whoever goes in after us knows that they have a nice clean space that they can trust whenever they go in for their show. You're setting them up for success, which I think is something really important that we need to do more of in the theater community. It's not just about our own success. We talk a lot about setting ourselves up for success, but I think it's really important to make sure that we don't do anything to hinder others' success. I mean, there are a lot of people in this world doing a lot of things, especially in the arts community, and I think that if we start fighting against each other, we're just tearing down the community that we know and love. Whereas if we support each other, you know, I think it just makes us stronger. It makes us, you know, more creative, it makes us kinder, it makes us love our environment all that much more because it's a safe space to be, it's a happy space to be. You don't have to worry about being scrutinized, you don't have to worry about showing up and people making fun of you because of this thing or that. We're all the same and we're all here for the same reason. So respecting yourself and others and making sure that you're contributing to helping others with their success just because you can, because it doesn't cost you anything but maybe 10 minutes of your time. It's important that for our souls that we do things like that because I think they make us better people, and when is being a better person a bad thing, right? So that's about all I have for our performance principles. I want to make sure that I leave you with some kind of goodness and some kind of thing that at least gets you ready to go out in the world and try singing, even if it's just at a karaoke place or, you know, in your own home, in your bedroom, singing along to Billie Eilish or Ariana Grande or Descendants or whatever you're singing along to. If nothing else, I hope you just love singing, because I do. It's how I got through a lot of really hard times in my life, and it's a really important part of who I am, and so I hope that I could share that with you and that you learned a little bit of something here and there about performing and what you're capable of, and that, you know, all of this in the end is to make ourselves better people. Maybe not better singers, but better people. And I do hope that, you know, you feel like you got a little bit better after this, because I feel like I did. Well, I guess that's all I have for you. So this is Miss Brii signing out from Wonderland Performing Arts. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for loving singing, and I guess I'll see you when I see you. Bye.